Headline this hour from Kansas City. Maller follow-up on the Chiefs' recent plunge into mediocrity meadows. What happened to the Chiefs here? They've lost 3 of their last 4, have looked absolutely miserable on offense. And Patrick Mahomes had the hissy fit heard round football. Mahomes very upset with the referees, and he tried to take it back, but the damage was done. Mahomes was asked about Kadarius Toney, the man of the hour, who lined up offsides, was called for being lined up offsides, and then the Chiefs completed a trickeration play that would have, could have, should have given them the lead late to beat the Bills, but it didn't count. And Mahomes acted like a child that had been forced to eat his vegetables, and he did not want to eat his vegetables, and he had a absolute conniption. So he's trying to walk it back. Now, Mahomes also was asked about Kadarius Toney, and rather than me tell you and quote Mahomes, we actually have the audio. Here is Patrick Mahomes. He was asked about what he would advise, what his wisdom is to his teammate Kadarius Toney. And let's go to the audio tape. Here's what he said.
Just be you, man. I mean, that's all you can do in life or in this league. I mean, you're going to make mistakes. I mean, stuff's going to happen in your life. How do you accept that adversity and get past it and do it the right way? And Coach Reed preaches that, and that's how I roll. I mean, you make one mistake, that's not going to define you. It's going to be how you respond to that mistake. All the receivers know I believe in them. That's just kind of how I roll. If you're in this locker room and I see how hard you work, I'm going to trust in you in big moments, and I'm going to give you chances to go out there and make plays. And for everything I know, their mindset seems like it's in a good spot, and they just want to go out there and continue to get better and better.
All right, so let's discuss the question. You heard the audio right there. Patrick Mahomes publicly defending Kadarius Toney and his wide receivers. Give me your school of thought on this. All right, so I've got Santa's List, Netflix, and Kiss FM. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make hotcakes. Not a hot take. We're going to make hotcakes, which is a fancy way of saying pancakes. All right, so number one. This was a boilerplate response. I don't believe Mahomes. This is what you say publicly. He took his meds. He's back on his best behavior. Let me ask you, if you're driving a car and every 12th mile the brakes fail on the car, are you going to continue to trust the brakes on the car that you're driving? Methinks not so much. Methinks not so much. Now, the response to Mahomes was what you're supposed to say. It was proper football decorum, right? Spewing Tony Robbins' mantra, essentially awaken the giant within. Behind closed doors, though, you got to think that calmer heads are prevailing here and that Kadarius Toney is in the doghouse. And here's the other problem. Mahomes is like, well, don't let one mistake define you. How about 2? Do 2 mistakes define you? How many mistakes before that defines the player? I bring that up because unless I'm wrong here, Kadarius Toney is a repeat offender when it comes to the boo-boo. You might remember in the season opener, Kadarius Toney made Santa's List. He's on the naughty list here. But in the season opener against the Lions, Kadarius Toney dropped not 1, not 2, but 3 passes, including a game-changing drop in the fourth quarter, final couple minutes. Kansas City needed a field goal, and Kadarius Toney had a back-breaking, hands-of-stone moment, a wanna-get-away type of moment. And now this game, he had the last game here against Buffalo, he yet again screws up by lining up offsides. Malingering would be the word, malingering. Now, page 2. A headline from Jacksonville, the mascot of the Jacksonville football team. So more details have emerged from a bizarre story about this guy named Amit Patel, I believe is his name, or Amit Patel. But either way, we don't know who the guy is, but the guy is infamous now This Patel cat, he's a former Jaguars employee who had been accused of stealing more than $20 million, more than $22 million from the franchise. Now, I was away on assignment when this story came out, so I didn't get to do a full Maller monologue on this particular story, but I'm glad I waited because there's new information that has seen the light of day on this wild story. So this guy Patel used a large amount of the over $22 million that he had picked up here, and he ended up betting the money on daily fantasy sports. Shout out our friend DraftKings. But he was not only on DraftKings, he was also on their rival FanDuel under the username Parlay Picker. Parlay Picker. And on those sites, according to a story I was reading earlier, he had a reputation. And it was the kind of reputation you get when people like talk behind your back and they whisper about how terrible you are. One story said that he's the biggest loser ever in the history of FanDuel. And they described him as legendarily bad. Not just bad. Not bad to the bone. Legendarily bad. And the guy apparently didn't care, right? So here's the question. I mean, it wasn't his money. He was exploiting Jacksonville's virtual credit card program. It was free money. It's like house money, whatever you're going to get, that's it. So where is the Maller scale of interest? Maller scale of interest, 1 to 10 on the Jaguars employee who embezzled millions of dollars only to gamble most of it away on daily fantasy. So I'm at a 9.5. I like this story a lot. I'm a fan of this story. I'm ready to get a giant bucket of popcorn and enjoy one of those Netflix true crime documentary series about how all this went down. You know it's coming, right? And I don't know what they're going to call the Netflix documentary series. They can call it the Bad Jag, right? They could call it that, and or Just a Jag, or Big Cat Gone Bad. They can go that direction. Fantasy Fail. There's a lot of options they have. But this guy reminds me of another story I love. The guy that was like the fan that was going around robbing banks to go to Chiefs games. Remember that? Remember that story from a few months ago? That's also going to make a hell of a documentary. And this will as well. This Jacksonville guy, I'm talking when the case is settled and all that, and they can interview the person. But this guy won the lottery, essentially. He had free money, and instead of investing it in things that would make more money, he futched it all away trying to win daily fantasy. And they said some of these... Now, if you play daily fantasy, you know what I'm about to say. But like he would enter in these leagues, and some of them were like $100,000. I didn't even know they had leagues that were $100,000. They were ridiculous. He'd enter these things. Sometimes he wouldn't even fill out the lineup card. Or he would play players that weren't even starting players. And he would have them... So the guy was doing no research. He was doing no homework. And he was just like putting these things together. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. All right, final point. Headline from La La Land. The NFL owners have voted. They have awarded Super Bowl 61 in 2027 to Los Angeles. It's coming back to L.A. Congratulations. All the traffic, all the NFL blowhards will be ascending into Los Angeles. Now, it was a unanimous vote, we are told. If it wasn't, the NFL wouldn't have said that, but the vote took place at the owners' meetings in Dallas, and the game will be televised by ABC if you care about that kind of stuff. So how did you react? How did you react to the news that the NFL's handing over another Super Bowl going to Los Angeles? So this is the new normal. Be prepared. The NFL invested some of their own money to build SoFi Stadium, and they put their television arm right across the way from SoFi Stadium. NFL Network headquarters are literally in the complex at SoFi Stadium. I know that. I've parked over there several times, and it's quite the hustle. So the NFL's got offices there. Their West Coast headquarters are there. They have a vested interest in making this the biggest stadium in the world, and it is the greatest stadium I've ever been to. They nailed it. They absolutely. I've been to a few football stadiums around the country. I've never seen anything like SoFi Stadium. It's an amazing venue, and it's just absolutely bananas what they put in that thing. But this is, again, the new normal here, right? The NFL will every 5 years, and I was told this a couple years ago when they were building SoFi Stadium, and it appears to be the case. The plan is in every 5 years or so, the rotation, L.A. is going to be there. They'll throw in other cities, but L.A. is one of those cities guaranteed every 5 years. And that's just the way that it's going to be. And from what we're hearing here, the owners plan on treating SoFi Stadium like Kiss FM treats music, right? You know, they have the A-list music that they play, one or two songs every hour from a certain like A-list of artists. It's a high rotation is what they say in the CHR format. And the owners, there's a couple of reasons. They have the stadium, there's the investment, there's that. But there's also the fact that the NFL owners love L.A. They love schmoozing with the Hollywood screwballs and hanging out in the Hollywood Hills and all that, and going down shopping on Rodeo Drive, and going to Bel Air, which is right up the hill from where we do the show from, or sunbathing in Santa Monica. They love all that crap. They're all about it. And so they can do it every 5 years, and they're just going to keep doing it until SoFi Stadium becomes a dump, which I guess will be like 20 years, and then they'll stop doing it.